This is the Red Podcast.
This is episode number 119. We're talking about fear of missing out for entrepreneurs. It's a big problem. It may be taking you off your path. We'll tell you how to know and what to do about it. That's coming up.
This is the Red Podcast. Real entrepreneur development. Make more money, work less, and live a life of freedom. No BS advice that really works. Here's your hosts, David Hooper and Laurel Staples.
We bought something quite interesting on Amazon the other day. David, do you want to share what that was?
I went to the dentist last week, and as I was having all sorts of contraptions shoved in my mouth, the hygienist was explaining to me about a dog DNA kit and how that worked. And I thought that would be interesting. We have a mountain cur, which by definition, cur means mix. Got to find out what he's made out of.
I got him from the shelter 10 years ago, and they told me they thought he was a mountain cur, which is an Appalachian hunting dog. But of course, they never know. This dog just got dropped off in the middle of the night at their shelter, and I found him there. So we're going to see what he actually is. And it might burst my little bubble if he doesn't turn out to be a mountain cur. Because for 10 years, I've thought my dog is a mountain cur. And if it comes back like, your dog is a shepherd, I'd be like, oh, that's kind of sad.
So just a few minutes ago, we were swabbing his cheeks, collecting DNA samples, and that didn't go too well.
He didn't like that at all.
No.
The first swab went okay. I was able to hold his head, and you swabbed the inside of his gum. The second swab, he was not having it.
2 to 3 weeks, we're going to get the results. We'll share them here on the Red Podcast. Red stands for Real Entrepreneur Development. We help you build an audience, sell more products, and make more money. We are business optimizers. We find out what your business is made of, just like a DNA kit, and then help you to be more efficient in your marketing and find the hidden money sitting right in front of you. Show you how to live life on your terms. And on this episode, we're talking about FOMO. I was inspired by a recent situation involving a musician that I know. Had an opportunity to be in Rolling Stone magazine. It's like the Holy Bible of music magazine. Mm-hmm. They've written songs about it. Everybody wants to be on the cover of the Rolling Stone, and if you can't be on the cover, just being in it means something. So this guy's very excited. Rolling Stone magazine calls up. Hey, we'd like to feature you in Rolling Stone. But it wasn't about his music. It was about something else. And that got me thinking about FOMO and opportunities, because we've got opportunities as entrepreneurs happening to us all the time, just as this guy did. Is he going to go for Rolling Stone and say, hey, I was in Rolling Stone? Or is he going to hold out and get the article that he wants? Because this one wasn't even about music, and it might not actually make him look good.
What did they want to talk to him about?
Relationship advice.
Is that what Rolling Stone is covering these days? Relationship advice?
Well, Rolling Stone.
Hilarious.
Exactly. It's not a music magazine anymore. It's more of a lifestyle magazine. So that was the kind of the rub.
So he's wondering if he should go forward, even though it has nothing to do with his music. Would it be a waste of time for him to go after it? Is that why he's debating?
Well, there's no debate. He went for it.
Ah, okay. Never mind.
That's the debate that we're having here today. Another example of this, one of my entrepreneur friends had an opportunity to go on Oprah once. Real exciting when Oprah calls up, right?
Yeah, she hasn't called me yet. I'm just waiting.
She was calling about a story on short men and do they have problems dating. So this guy's on Oprah, but he's talking about dating life. Nothing to do with his business. You can say you're on Oprah. I guess that's worth something. But as entrepreneurs, we're faced with these things all the time, not necessarily Rolling Stone, not necessarily Oprah, but what opportunities do we go for and what opportunities do we leave behind?
From the time I met you moving forward, that's the most time I've ever heard anyone talk about FOMO. You've always had a lot of fear of missing out, but it's actually a problem with many entrepreneurs. If you have this FOMO, this fear of missing out, it can get you off task. It can keep you from making money and plowing forward on what you should be working on. And it also makes you second guess yourself. When you have a fear of missing out on something, you're second guessing what you're already doing. We want to talk about that today and how to break that down and how to overcome FOMO so that you can keep working towards your goals and stay on track towards achieving them and having the business that you want.
Let's talk about some of the key reasons that you might feel like you're missing out. One reason that I see that happens a lot is an unmet need for recognition. As podcasters, we have this all the time. We get these interview requests. Hey, be on my podcast, be on my podcast, be on my podcast. The blogger, write a guest post.
That's a big one for me. I see guest posting opportunities on different blogs, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should write a blog post on there. Maybe that would funnel a lot of people to my website. And you start to go through this whole process in your brain of, should I do that? And that's a fear of missing out. That's FOMO right there. Is, am I missing out on that opportunity to be on so-and-so's podcast or to post a guest post on so-and-so's website?
Another reason for FOMO, social exclusion. Panel opportunities, speaking opportunities. Sometimes it's as simple as an app that everybody has. Networking events. How many times do we get invited to those things?
Oh, all the time.
And you're thinking, well, maybe I should go. Maybe I'll just meet that one connection that I need.
That's the thing, especially with networking events. I feel a lot of FOMO around those because if you go to a networking event and you meet that right person, it's totally worth your time. But if you don't, it can be a total waste of time when you don't meet anybody. So every time a new networking event comes up, I'm always thinking, am I going to meet that person? And I have this fear of missing out if I don't do it. And that goes for panel opportunities or speaking opportunities and looking at something, as you said, David, that everyone has and you don't have, and everyone's going to the networking event or to the other event or to the conference and you're not going. It just starts to play in your brain a little.
And I think it's really bad because it happens before when everybody's talking about going. It happens during, you know that you're missing it. And then afterwards, you have to read about it on social media, Facebook, Twitter.
Especially for conferences, is people always say better things about conferences than they actually were. People are always raving about conferences, even if they're bad. So then you really feel like you missed out because everyone's like, oh, it's so great. I met so many amazing people that I'm going to love forever. And you feel like you really missed out there, even though the conference might have not been that good.
It's total grandstanding. It's like that party in high school where you decide, I'm going to go home tonight. I'm going to stay in. Monday morning. Oh, man. And right there, you're getting ready to be dumped on with a big load of BS, but you still always are going to wonder, is what that guy's talking about really true? Was this, in fact, the best party ever?
I don't think I ever got invited to those parties, David. I remember in 5th grade, some girl went around handing out invitations to everyone in the class, or maybe 30 of us, and she skipped me and one other girl. I was never that person, but I know what you mean at the same time.
That's so sad.
It is sad. I think it's sad.
And you're still carrying it around,
I got
obviously.
a fear of missing out because I didn't have the opportunity to go.
I guarantee you the other 28 girls in the class can't even remember that event.
I know, but I remember not getting invited. Fear of missing out.
Well, maybe
people.
your experience was better.
It could have been. That could have been the worst party
Certainly
ever.
more memorable. Scarcity, another big issue for fear of missing out. I see this a lot when it comes to marketing opportunities. New technology that might bring you more traffic, get you more business, higher conversion.
I was checking out Nick Loper's website, which is sidehustlenation.com. He's got a cool website for people that are looking to transition out of their day job and do their side hustle full time. And he had this great blog post about lead pages. If you're online, you might be familiar with lead pages and what they do in their software. And he was talking about how he'd used it and how it had helped him grow his email subscriber list. And he had a nice graph on there and talked about some other people that used it as well. And that for me got me thinking, not being a subscriber of lead pages was like, maybe I'm missing out on lead pages. Maybe I should have this. And then you go on lead pages and you see all the other people using lead pages and you feel like, oh, maybe I'm not doing it right. Maybe I need to go in there and check it out and subscribe, and things again start playing around in your head. And you don't know at that moment, maybe it's not the right choice for you. And that's something Nick was trying to break down in his article. Is there's so much hype about this. Is it the right choice for you? And I appreciated his article from that standpoint, because when everyone's doing something, do you need to jump on board?
Yes. Didn't your mother ever tell you that?
Yeah, if all the lemmings jump off the cliff, you jump too.
I think bottom line of FOMO, the grass is always greener. That's how we feel. Of course, we don't have the full picture, and not having that full picture, other people's businesses always look great, but we don't see the work going into them. We just see those Facebook moments before, during, and after the event. We just hear about the traffic that people are getting. We see the money, the income reports. You don't know what's really going on. Some of the most miserable people I know are the ones making the most money. It's easy to combine our world, the one we're living, with somebody else's, but you don't know.
That's what happens. You can go to any business guru's site and you can see the marketing techniques that work really well for them. And you can see all the social proof that those marketing techniques work really well. And then you can ask yourself, why am I not doing those? Am I missing out on those opportunities? Maybe I need that ebook. Maybe I need to go to that conference. Maybe I need to do XYZ on social media. Just starts coming up a lot. So we want to go through some ways that you can figure out, are these things that you're faced with, that you're having a fear of missing out on, are those things that you actually need to pursue? Or are they just things that maybe you need to pass by and continue on your path towards success?
First question to ask, is this valuable to me right now? We were hanging out with John Acuff a few weeks ago, and he was talking about his schedule, which is booked months in advance. And that's always an interesting thing, because when I book an event, me personally, I'm very excited about it. But as the event comes up, this could be a panel that I'm on, this could be just an event I'm attending. When I actually have to do the work to go to the event, it becomes a little more real. And it makes me look a little bit deeper into why I said yes. And John, as a guy who does a lot of speaking engagements, he said this. He said, is the event that you're saying yes to worth you clearing all the events that you have tomorrow so you could do it? Because that's basically what you're doing. You're just doing it in the future.
Another thing you want to ask yourself along those same lines, David, is what are the consequences of doing this right now? If I implement this new marketing tool, is it going to get me off track from these other marketing strategies that I'm using? Or if I go to this 3-day conference, is it going to get me off track from doing the work that I had to do in those 3 days? So there are consequences. When you make any choice, there's something that's going to happen because of that choice. And you want to look at, are there any negative consequences to going through with what you want to go through with?
Yeah, you can't be in two places at once. Right now, I'm writing a book. It requires a tremendous amount of time. And I think thinking like that, even if you're not writing a book, thinking, what project am I working on that is very, very important to me? Maybe it's your business. Maybe it's your relationship with your wife, your husband, your kids. I see people get into a lot of trouble when they're on their downtime. They start saying yes to a lot of things because something is slow. Somebody who's speaking for a living, writing books, working on big projects a lot. During your downtime, when you say yes, but you're saying yes 6 months out, it's probably not going to be downtime anymore for you. And that's what happens to me all the time. A big project will come up, but I've already said yes to a lot of things. Then I'm more or less double booked.
Something that will also help is asking yourself the question, is this going to directly make me money? So is this thing that I want to pursue directly going to make me money? Because if it's not, you might just have to have that fear of missing out and miss out and stick on the path that you're already on.
Yeah, that's when you're thinking too far ahead. Yeah, it's going to make me money in the future, but if you're not concentrating on making yourself money right now, you're going to go broke. You're not going to get to that future.
You definitely want to do both. You want to have that combination of setting yourself up to win in the future, but you also, as you said, David, you need to make money now because you're not going to get to the future. So are these activities going to bring in money directly? You have to look at directly, not indirectly, not 10 steps to making money, but directly.
And related to that, is this activity going to bring me new clients?
Also, does this activity match up with my long-term goals? That's something I always like to use this analogy is if I get in the car right now in Nashville and I want to drive to New York, every single turn that I make on the road, I'm going to have to ask myself, is this turn left going to lead me to New York? Yes or no? If it is, go that way. Next turn, ask myself the same question, and eventually I'll get to New York. So you have to make sure that whatever you want to do, whatever you want to pursue is matching up with those turns along the way to end up at your long-term goal. So you